Right, good afternoon. My name is Frank Curran. I'm a senior consultant with a company called RedQuadrant, and I lead for RedQuadrant on criminal justice matters. So we work with a wide range of public sector bodies in issues to do with reoffending and offender rehabilitation. I think the potential advantages are, in a way, very obvious. I think if the ambition around TR seems to me to be to promote innovation, to promote flexibility, to promote a much greater focus on outcomes instead of a focus on process, and in so doing to improve reoffending outcomes for amongst offenders. I think the disadvantages, I suppose I'm probably one of the people that would have been quite enthusiastic about the original conception of transforming rehabilitation, and I think I've probably been somewhat disappointed in how I've seen the detail, when I've seen the detail of the implementation. Some of the detail seems to me to be working at odds with what the stated ambition. The payment structures that have been proposed seem to me not to be promoting innovation, not necessarily to be promoting a focus on reoffending, but my reading of the payment structures and the emphasis on fee for service is a desire to basically be doing an outcome that could easily be something that looks very similar to what we have now, just done more cheaply. That seems to me to be a huge missed opportunity. I think there are dangers also within the whole area of risk and risk management and how that is managed in the new set of arrangements, and in particular the whole area of the relationship between the new National Probation Service and the primes in relation to risk feels to me a potentially fraught and complex one. I think there's a kind of good and bad elements to this. I think if it works, what you could be looking at is far more holistic services, far more personalised services, services that really focus on outcomes around offending, services that are much more community-based, services that are effectively much more relevant to the needs of offenders and the needs of the wider community. I think the downside may well be the danger may well be that what we see is even more limited range of rehab services than we have at the minute, and services making little difference to whether or not people reoffend. I think it's an opportunity for them to do more work with offenders. I don't think it's an opportunity for them to get paid for it. I think the issue here is there is a lot of talk about the supply chain and a prime relationship managing a series of suppliers. Looking at the figures, it looks to me fairly difficult to see a scenario where there's a large amount of external commissioning of provision and of activity. And there is an assumption within the whole discussion around the supply chain about a large amount of services currently in place that will continue to remain in place without any funding or investment from the criminal justice sector. And that includes current services provided by the voluntary sector, such as housing support, etc., and also local authority services. The assumption that these services will continue to exist in this form without receiving payment seems to me to be a dangerous one. I think there's a kind of dream scenario and a nightmare scenario. I think if we're talking about a dream scenario, what we're talking about clearly is a much more outcome-focused, integrated set of services to offenders that is showing real results in terms of reducing reoffending rather, that will almost certainly be provided at less cost than we're talking at the minute, and is also keeping the community safe. So I think that is the dream scenario. The nightmare scenario will be services that are certainly costing less, even more limited range of rehabilitation offers than we have at the moment, dangerous practice around risk and scandals and problems and around risk and serious injury and death potentially, and basically a system that is not keeping the community safe.